Sorry for the glitch. Somehow it got disconnected. So we are again here with changes in how this M is understanding and how Sri Ramakrishna is showing the holiness of Panchavati itself. He bowed down and M remembers all the Sri Ramakrishna sadhana had been practiced there. Now, the master and M passed the cluster of bakul trees and came to the Nahabat. So they are coming from Pine Grove towards Sri Ramakrishna's room. And after passing the Panchavati, there the cluster of bakul. There was the cluster of bakul trees, and then the Nahabat, where Holy Mother used to stay. Holy Mother was not there at the time in Kolkata. She had gone to Jairambati. So here M was staying there, and they passed that, and they come to Sri Ram. They came to the Nahabat. Hajra was there, so Hajra was in Nahabat. They saw Sri Ramakrishna saw Hajra. The master said to him, "Don't eat too much, and give up this craze for outer cleanliness. People with craze do not attain knowledge. Follow conventions only as much as necessary. To excess." The master entered his room and sat on the couch. So these are something very important thing. We call Suchi Bai. Often everything has to be clean. You have to wash your hands. You have to take a shower, the clean clothes. Little happening something and you feel very bad. I'm not clean. I'm not pure. So that they take to extreme. Sometimes that becomes more important than the worship of God. So always thinking if little something is there, always worry that, oh, I didn't wash my hands, I didn't wash my feet while coming, no water was available. So Sri Ramakrishna said, as much as available, Sri Ramakrishna says, as much as the convention says, you should do this. They say that to go to temple, one should be clean bed, clean clothes, and all that. That is one way to go to the temple. There is another saying that you go with the dusted feet. You came walking and no shoes, barefoot, people generally used to walk earlier, and go straight to the temple to see the deity while dust is there on your feet. So your feet are not clean, but God becomes your first priority. When you come, you long to see the deity in the temple. So that is another way to have the darshan of God, dust fitted. Dhulo paye darshan they call. So both ways are prescribed. One is out of longing for God, out of pure love, which you cannot remain away for a long time. Another way is you become clean, washed, and the fresh mind, you come that way. But both are said. The people who have a lot of this idea about purity and all that, they will never prescribe going through the dusted feet. How can you go to the temple with all, you have not washed your feet and you can go? So, but there is the system when you have so much of devotion, doesn't matter even if your feet are washed or not. So he said, don't eat too much and have, as Sri Krishna said, there should be balance between the things of the world, not too much of a craze for cleanliness. So that will harm your knowledge. Those who have craze for cleanliness, they will not get knowledge, Sri Ramakrishna says. So that was a little instruction for Hazara, who was staying there, studying Vedanta, and he thought himself that he has developed quite a lot in the knowledge of Vedanta. And sometimes he used to respect and regard Sri Ramakrishna as a great person. Sometimes he thought, I am greater than Sri Ramakrishna. But Narendranath would be Swami Vivekananda. He had good rapport with Hajra. He used to like Hajra's erudition, his study. He used to do japam for a long time, repeating the rosary. So that all impressed Narendranath that he is a good person. And Sri Ramakrishna used to say, what he shows, he is not fully that. There's a lot of show in his practice of spirituality than what is reality. So, but he was that way, the thing, that person was. So he gave little instruction. Who was with Sri Ramakrishna has been brought by Sri Ramakrishna to Dakshina. Sri Ramakrishna was resting after his midday meal when Surendra, Ram, and other devotees arrived from Calcutta. It was about 1 o'clock. While M was strolling alone under the pine trees, Harish came there and told him that the master wanted him in his room. Someone was going to read from the Shiva Samhita, a book containing instruction about yoga and the six centers, that six yogic centers that people often call of the Sushumna and this Swadhisthana, Muladhara, Swadhisthana, and like those six centers, as they say, Manipura, mm, uh, Anahata, and Manipura, like those six centers in the spinal cord. So it is all mentioned not in Raja Yoga of Patanjali though. Those are not part of the Raja Yoga. Those are part of explanation done in Shiva Samhita. That is called Kundalini Yoga. That is described in detail in the Kundalini Yoga. How many are the chakras? What are their colors? What are number of petals in each of the chakra? So all that is very thoroughly described in Shiva Samhita. So Yam was told that someone is going to read from Shiva Samhita about the yoga, Kundalini Yoga, and about the chakras. So he came. Sri Ramakrishna was resting in the small couch that he has in his room. There are two beds. One was the bed where he used to sleep. By that side, by the side of that bed was another small bed. Actually, the what couch is called is that small bed with a thinner mattress that Sri Ramakrishna used for sitting and talking from there. He used to sit and talk from there. All the visitors would sit on the ground on the spread mat, and there Sri Ramakrishna was talk. So it was 1 o'clock, and the devotees came. Surendra was a great devotee of Thakur. He was a rich person, and he helped a lot later on financially, and he was the one who supported Sri Ramakrishna's all expenses in Kashipur. It was a huge expense according to that time. Ram was the disciple. He was in the medical college, a chemist who was very learned, and yet he was one of the first to say that Sri Ramakrishna is incarnation of God. He had that ability. He was relative of Narendranath Datta, like uncle of Narendranath Datta, Ram. And other devotees from Calcutta. It was about 1 o'clock while the M came. The M was told that Sri Ramakrishna is calling you. He was just strolling and he was contemplating on what he had heard from Sri Ramakrishna that morning. Then Yam entered the room and saluted the master. The devotees were seated on the floor, but no one was reading the book. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to the devotees. I don't know how this information went that there will be a reading from Shiva Samhita, but that was not the case. Sri Ramakrishna was talking. Master, the gopis cherished ecstatic love for Krishna. There are two elements in such love, I-ness and minus. I-ness is the feeling that Krishna will be ill if I do not serve him. In this attitude, the devotee does not look upon his ideal as God. So, this is the Vatsalya Bhava, when the God or the ultimate love becomes a baby, and all idea is how to serve them. The glory and splendor of God, that idea is hidden by God's will. And the devotee looks upon God as the baby whom he has to take care. So that Vishda says, Mama, Aham and Mama, two feelings about for the people who practice bhakti according to Vatsalya. Mama is the Aham, first Aham. I am the servant of that boy, baby. Gopala means baby Krishna. That is the form of God as Gopala. So I will have to take care, otherwise, who will take care of baby Krishna? So God, who will take care of God? So, but here the devotee feels that I have to take care of God. There is that love is there, but God's splendor is not there, and there is also not there that the ideal of God is also not there. It's just the baby Krishna, my love, my person whom I have to take care and find lot joy in serving that Gopala. That is one idea of serving God. And what is the mama or minus in bhakti? Minus in bhakti is to feel the beloved is my own. The gopis had such a feeling of myness toward Krishna that they would place their subtle bodies under his feet lest his souls should get hurt. What is that putting this subtle body under the feet of Krishna? Was walking barefoot in the village of Vrindavan and Gokula, and so that he is not hurt, his soul feet do not touch the hot earth of Vrindavan, which is very hot place in summertime. So they would put their subtle body under his feet, no idea, putting the idea of God aside, and he is just our sweetheart, and thinking that our body, he is walking upon our body. When they were thinking that Sri Krishna is walking on the ground, it was painful for them. So that their subtle body lay there. And mentally they are thinking that their subtle body is lying on the road. On the subtle body was Sri Krishna walking so that he is not hurt by the heat of the road, of the street. So that is what is putting that. Yashoda remarked, I don't understand your Chintamani Krishna. Chintamani, jewel of thoughts. Chintamani, our very center of our thoughts. So I don't understand that he is the center of our thought, or through him is our thought working. No, I don't want that. I want to me he is simply Gopala. The gopis also said, oh, where is Krishna, our beloved? Where is Krishna, our sweetheart? They were not conscious of his being God. So they felt that he is another human being, and had totally given up the idea that he is God. If they thought Krishna was God, then that relationship will not be there. Then they don't have to protect them. They don't have to feel for his difficulties. They don't have to say, if I don't take care, who will take care of Gopala? He cannot take care of himself because God is all in all powerful. That's why the idea of all supreme God, all powerful God is set aside, and that God is thought of as a small baby or the sweetheart to whom they have to serve. There is a saying that once someone said, Krishna has terrible headache. Now, how to remove that was great pain for the devotees. Krishna's pain has to be cured. Now, news came that there is only one way to cure the Krishna's headache. So, what is that? Some devotee gopis have to give the dust of their feet. Now, saying that they all love, but some idea of greatness of Krishna was there. So they said, how can we give the dust of our feet? It will be sacrilegious. It will be sin to apply dust of our feet on the deity whom we love, on the being whom we love and respect. But Radha said, oh, that will cure Krishna's headache. Take the dust of my feet. The main concern was how to cure Krishna's feet. Not that he is God, he is respectable, he is venerable, nothing that. Krishna is just my friend, and I want anything is needed. If it was needed, he wants the blood of the heart is needed for curing Krishna's headache. So she would give even the blood of her heart. So whatever how makes Krishna feel good and happy, that was the Radha could do. So she didn't even mind giving the dust of her feet for to cure Krishna's headache. So that is how the relationship between God and the devotee in the path of Bhakti Yoga. One was little Madhura Bhava, which is the very highest type of bhakti relationship, and the previous was Vatsalya Bhava. So in Vatsalya Bhava, God is worshipped as baby, but there is no idea that it is God. So that is also kept aside. So it is really a baby, but tremendously baby who is loved tremendously. Now, Sri Ramakrishna continues, it is like a small child saying, my daddy. If someone says to the child, no, he is not your daddy, the child says, yes, he is my daddy. So people often say, my daddy. Someone says, he's my daddy. No, he is my daddy, like that thing. They say, it's my Gopala. I will have to treat them. Otherwise, who will look after that? The sense of myness comes with strong bond of love by this feeling of my and I. That's what Sri Ramakrishna wants to say. God incarnating himself as man behaves exactly like a man. That is why it is difficult to recognize an incarnation. When God becomes man, he is exactly like man. He has the same hunger, thirst, disease, grief, and sometimes even fear. Rama was stricken with grief for Sita. Krishna carried on his head the shoes and wooden stool of his father Nanda. So, how they are exactly doing the role of a human being. No greatness as God is shown in the time, in the Leela of God, that also happens. They have thirst, they have hunger, they serve their parents, and they go through a disease, and everything may happen. So, if he is God, why, if he is God and son of Father, why not the Father in heaven is protecting him? They said to Jesus, the people, the Jews and others. So, no, he is doing the role of a human being. God doesn't have to come to protect him through miracles, showing miracle. So that's why he suffered a lot, just as a human being who is charged falsely, is being punished. He bore all the punishment, but the godliness in him was endurance, no complaint, accepting the things. Only at the end he said, Father, have you forsaken me? Little fear. Though he's an incarnation, he's called Son of God, but little of this, God is not coming. Has he forgiven, forsaken me? So that type of idea for a flash of moment, because he assumed the human form. So like that idea may come, and then finally that goes away. So then comes, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What they are killing me, that is not, they do not know who I am, your son, and yet they are doing. Please forgive them. There is the divineness of this human being called Jesus. So, like that in Sri Ramakrishna's also case, also we see his hand was broken, and he used to ask everyone who came, "Can you say when my hand be cured, a broken hand?" Just like a human being, worried as it were, through for the sake of his broken hand of his body. So that how they do the role of a human in the divine play. They perfectly play the role of human being and go through all the things that human life goes. And Sri Krishna carried his on his head the shoes and wooden stool of his father Nanda. So no, nothing of God at all, just the son of Yashoda and Nanda. That role he would play. Let us go ahead. In the theater, when an actor comes on the stage in the role of a holy man, he behaves like one and not like the actor who is taking the part of the king. He plays his own role. So God has become human being, so he cannot play the role of God. He has to play the role of human being. Sometimes though, other times he reveals the nature of God. And like in the day of when he became Kalpataru, Sri Ramakrishna, when Sri Krishna lifted the Giridhar, that Giri on his little finger, all the power of God will being revealed that time. When he created out of himself all the gopas and the cowherd boys and the cows and calves that have been stolen by Brahma, all that Sri Krishna created, showing that his divine power. But at times, it is not that. Perfectly human being. He would cry, he would weep, he would say to Yashoda, and you are punishing me that I steal the butter and the yogurt from others' house. What are you saying? I have not eaten anything. And he would tell a lie like that, like a baby. He has to do the role of a baby. Maya mori main nahi maa khana khayo, says Tulsidas. Like that, I have not eaten any butter. And mother said, how I can see in your face there are sticking some butter and yogurt. He said, oh, they forcibly, my friend, they just put it on my face forcibly. But I have not eaten. When he was telling lie, that is the prank of God when he becomes just like a baby, ordinary baby, but very sweet in the divine Leela is that. So the actor has to play his own role. So God has to play the role of the divine baby, which will act like a baby, but he cannot act like a God. That's why the person who is playing the person role of a holy man cannot play the role of a king. So at that time, so the roles are different. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna says. Understanding avatara, that's the thing. Avatara looks like human being in every aspect, and yet you have to have an eye to understand, saying all to him and his devotees know who I am. So that's how he's giving little hints only, that is Sri Ramakrishna doing. Once an impersonator dressed himself as a world-renouncing monk. Pleased with the correctness of his disguise, some rich people offered him a rupee. He did not accept the money but went away, shaking his head. Means, I won't accept that way. Afterwards, he removed his disguise and appeared in his usual dress. Then he said to the rich people, "Please give me the rupee." They replied, "Why? You went away refusing our present. Why do you ask for it now?" The man said, "But then I was in the role of a holy man. I could not accept money." Likewise, when God becomes man, he behaves exactly like a man. That's what, when he was giving the role of a holy man, so he didn't accept the money because holy man didn't accept the money for their purpose. It's all given, provided by God. But he was not a holy man. So he changed the dress, come in his form, and they say, "Give me the money there you were giving." So perfectly doing the role, even wearing the dress, he was doing that way. So God, this story is to show that God, when comes as Avatara, he performs the role exactly as he needs to perform as the human being, and goes through all the things in life as a human being goes. At Vrindavan, one sees many places associated with Krishna's life. He was just in the morning, he had gone and bowed down to Panchavati, and because associated with his sadhana, they were holy. And Vrindavan also he visited, and he found Nidhuvan and uh, Yamuna and the evening when the dust of cows hooves were there, and all he felt the presence of Krishna. The Krishna roamed in this place like that. If there are so many places associated with Krishna are there, so they all are holy and remind the divine life of Krishna. Surendra now asks, "We were there during the holy days. Visitors were continually pestered for money." He's giving an experience of his when he was in Vrindavan. Surendra was a rich man. "The priests and others asked for it continually. We told them that we are going to leave for Calcutta the next day, but we fled from Vrindavan that very night." So they were asking money, and what to do? When we go to temple, the pandas often pester for money. So many people just complain, "Oh, we went to Puri. There were so many pandas. They were only asking for money. I didn't enjoy the holy place. How the people are only asking money?" Whole memory of Puri temple, instead of Jagannath, Subhadra, and Balaram, the glory, the decoration, the presence, the visits of so many holy persons, Holy Mother, Swami Vivekananda, and the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all so many Shankaracharya, so many people have visited. You forget all the holiness, all the greatness, and remember only Pandas asking for money. Give me some money, put some money here. Only you remember that. So that is not the whole. So they will remember, they will have to ask. That is how they have the income. They ask, some people give, and they have the income. They are the staff, that's their job. So they are not the holy persons. Pandas are not the holy person. They take care of the deity, they help us in performing the rituals, but they need money, they have greed, they have need, so they will ask money. That is their job. If not asked, people don't give. Because we are also like that. If we will give, even they don't ask, then they don't have to ask. Because if asked, the people give. If not asked, they do not give. Then how will they run their family? That is the only source of income. So they ask, but to get annoyed because some people are asking without understanding their problems in their life, Why do they need money? And getting annoyed with the whole temple system and whole holiness of the temple gone because someone was asking. Now this Surendra happened the same thing. He went to Vrindavan, all were pestering for money, and he said he didn't give anything. He said tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. We'll live tomorrow means what? We'll give tomorrow money, and that night itself they left. That was too much for Sri Ramakrishna. He didn't like it at all. And then he said, Master is saying, what is that? Shame. You said you would leave the place the next day and ran away that very day. What a shame. Sri Ramakrishna was really pained the behavior of his devotee Surendra doing this, telling a lie to save few coins. Little money you give and they become happy and go. And why you have to tell just there asking? Give something you have mind. Otherwise have means to give, finished. The thing is finished. But saying something and doing something, that was too bad for to be appreciated by Surendra. Didn't understand that. He was just narrating the story, what he did. Many would say, oh, you are very clever. What a smart person. He said he will give tomorrow, but he ran away night itself and saved money. That is the smartness. That is the real worldly people. That is the worldly smartness that worldly people appreciate. The holy man will totally denounce that. Sri Ramakrishna said, what a shame. He was really very pained for this behavior of his devotee master. Surendra, embarrassed. Here and there we saw the Babajis in the woods practicing spiritual discipline in solitude. So they were not appreciative of the priests and pandas, but he is now praising that there were some people who were practicing spirituality. Master, did you give them anything? The people, the Babajis, were just practicing something, help, some cloth, some blanket in the winter time. So did you give or some money? Surendra, no, sir. Master, that was not proper of you. One should give something to monks and devotees. Those who have the means should help such persons when they meet them. This helping, giving to monks and the beggars and all that, it is one way you help the beggars and the monks, and you offer in the temple, you help the temple, running of the temple, maintenance of the temple, and you help the priests there for their earning by donating in temple. One is that benefit of giving money. There is greater benefit. The money that you have earned is utilized for the best purpose to help the people who are needy. It is not being used on you. It is being used on people who are maintaining the places of pilgrimage, who are practicing sadhana, who have renounced everything, have nothing, little you help. That is what it is like giving money to God. So both ways, the second way, utilizing your hard-earned money in the best possible way by giving in for the temple or the priests or the beggars or the monks and devotees. That is Sri Ramakrishna saying. Sri Master is continuing. I went to Vrindavan with Mathur Babu. The moment I came to the Dhruva Ghat at Mathura, in a flash I saw Vasudeva crossing the Jamuna with Krishna in his arm. Sri Ramakrishna had that vision. That place is so holy. That was enacted in Dwapara Yuga, so many ages, so many thousands of years ago. And that is again played in the vision of Sri Ramakrishna. Those things remain. The people say, no, there's one beautiful song. Who said that Krishna doesn't eat? Who said that Krishna doesn't dance? Who said that Krishna doesn't speak? You don't know how to make him talk, how to make him dance, how to make him weigh, how to make him speak. You don't know that. That's why you say Krishna doesn't speak. But he still speaks. Ekono se Vrindavane Krishna nachere. That's a saying that is so true, that still Krishna is alive, and Sri Ramakrishna had such vision. In the visions, you can see the life of Krishna if your mind is pure. To say that Krishna is still there, playing his Leela, that Leela is never stopped. Only you have to have prayer mind. And he says in a flash that he saw Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, crossing the Jamuna with Krishna in his arm. So he came from Mathura, he came to Gokul. So one evening, I was taking a stroll on the beach of the river, of course, Yamuna. There were small thatched huts on the beach and big plum trees. It was the cow dust hour. The cows were returning from the pasture, raising dust with their hooves. I saw them fording the river. Then came some cowherd boys crossing the river with their cows. No sooner did I behold this scene than I cried out, "Oh Krishna, where are you?" and became unconscious. So he saw that people really coming, that scene was there, and he was so eager to meet Krishna and he didn't find Krishna and he became unconscious. And with the love of Krishna in there, but in the vision, he must have seen the Krishna. So much was the intensity of his love for Krishna and his divine play in Vrindavan. One can enact this. That's why Yam describes that when people used to visit Dakshineswar after Sri Ramakrishna passing away, Yam used to always say that when you go to Dakshineswar, always remember that Sri Ramakrishna here he prayed, he stayed, he did practice sadhana. Here he talked with the devotees in his court. In his this was the cow that he sat and spoke. This was the veranda where he met with Narendranath. Like that thing, you try to visualize that Sri Ramakrishna is there, and you get the greater joy of visiting Dakshineswar and being with Sri Ramakrishna. That imagining Sri Ramakrishna's presence is being with Sri Ramakrishna when we go to Dakshineshwar. That gives greater joy, and really it gives you feel that I met Sri Ramakrishna, at least in my thought. That's how you feel. I wanted to visit Shyamakunda and Radhakunda. So Mathur Babu sent me there in a palanquin. We had a long way to go. Food was put in the palanquin. While going over the meadow, I was overpowered with emotion and wept. Oh Krishna, I find everything the same, only you are not here. This is the very meadow where you tended the cows. Hridaya followed me on foot. I was bathed in tears. I couldn't ask the bearers to stop the palanquin. So Sri Ramakrishna was going fully engrossed in the thought of Krishna, and just he wanted to have the vision of Krishna that he's walking there, and in his mind was Krishna. The scene outside was the same as Krishna has traveled in Dwapara Yuga, and he was trying to relate that. And not having really seeing the Krishna walking there was very painful, and he started crying for the vision of Krishna. And so much cried, he said, I got wet with tears. He used to cry so much. Um, I went into Samadhi at the sight of the image of Banku Bihari. In that state, I wanted to touch it. I didn't want to visit Govindji twice. At Mathura, I dreamt of Krishna as the cowherd boy. Hriday and Mathur Babu had the same dream. Can you imagine? All saw Krishna in the dream as the cowherd boy. Hriday, Mathur Babu, and also Sri Ramakrishna. In the dream, Krishna gave the vegetation. This is called vegetation. It is not just imagination. Sri Krishna really comes and shows because he didn't come in person, but he came in dream and showed his presence to all three. This is the vegetation. Otherwise, how all three can have the same vision. Sri Ramakrishna's intense love for Krishna made Krishna at least visit in the dream, not only to him, but to his attendants and his beloved people, Hridaya and Mathur Babu. That is the power of love of God. When it is intense, it does good to you and it can do good to the people, those are around you. You can have the vision of God in dream, in closed eyes, sometimes open eyes. Earlier in Panchavati, Sri Ramakrishna saw Sita coming with his eyes open. He said, the first time I'm seeing my eyes open, that Sita came through this way and she came to me and she merged in me, my body. So like that vision may happen when you have intense love of God. So this much for the gospel today. So this is the last gospel for the month of last scripture class for the month of January, and February. The month of February is vacation, winter vacation. So we'll again meet at the scripture class in the month of March. So until then, goodbye. So all the best to you. Good night to all of you. And my prayers, I'm going to Belur and I will pray for all the devotees of Toronto, all the devotees of Canada especially. And of course, we all pray for whole humanity, but especially for the devotees of Toronto and Canada. Thank you very much. Now we close today's class with the closing chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padpadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu.